Hello, happy Friday. How are you? How are you? Get some hand lotion going here. If you haven't noticed, this is my prop, my hand lotion, right? This is how I stall for time. Because we always have to let the algorithm kind of warm up a little bit and let this thing get going before it jumps into your news feed and let you know that I'm here, huh? So we'll waste a few minutes just chatting here. But today we're going to do 101 Ways, of course, to make money in real estate. That's the name of the book. That's what we're writing this year. And the name of the chapter titles today are going to be Box of Tissues and Retarget Your Audience, chapters 17 and 18. How are you? Say hello in the comments if you're joining me. Thank you so much. Hey, Angela. Nice to see you. All right. Let's see what we got here. Let's get this ball rolling, okay? Box of tissues. I think some of these chapter titles came out so funny and cute. I don't understand how they determined that this was going to be 101 ways to make money with real estate, but let's just talk about a box of tissues, right? in the real estate industry. There's going to be obviously some situation, there's going to be some transaction, there's going to be some buyer, some seller that's just going to want to make you grab a box of tissues in this business, isn't there? There's always going to be some kind of an emotional up or down in this business, whether it's your best friend hiring another agent, to sell their home. That's going to make you want a box of tissues, isn't it? It's going to make you want a box of tissues when a transaction falls out day of closing, doesn't it? I've had that happen, haven't you? You know what I mean? Lots of situations in this business that are going to, require a box of tissue. But that doesn't mean you stop. I mean, that doesn't mean you quit. That doesn't mean you throw in the towel. That just means you keep going. You straighten your crown, you pick yourself up, and you keep going. I can tell you some doozies in this business, seriously, that have just really brought me to my knees, and when you think about it, and you think about, it's astonishing, the human capacity, right? To be ugly sometimes. You'll see some ugliness in this business, unfortunately. And sometimes you might have to even be ugly, to get something done the right way. I've had both of those situations come across my lap. I had a transaction one time that literally, I don't know, we were getting down to the wire on closing, and I don't even remember whether we even had one extension to the closing or not, but the closing was getting done. It was getting done. The seller was just being a jerk and wouldn't sign until they could get their check funded. So you have to explain to them sometimes, we're doing this dry closing. They're going to close today and then it's not going to fund until X is done. Well, they don't want to hear that. So it was a difficult closing, and I had to call legal hotline on it because they literally had another agent ready to relist that property because funding was delayed 8 hours. I mean, it was just incredible. So that definitely made me want to have a box of tissues, and you see it all the time. You see it all the time where you're going to have somebody, somebody you thought that was in your corner, somebody you thought that supported your business, whether it be family or friends. It'll happen to you. It'll happen to you sometime in your career. It's happened to us. I don't think anybody can get away from it or guarantee it'll never happen to them when a family member lists with another realtor. You just can't take that personally. I've got a couple of cousins that are savvy investors, and we have helped them buy and sell real estate for 15 years. They roll over their investments every 5 years, and they use the rollover, I can't even think of the name of it. The retirement. They use their retirement accounts. So, and several years ago, we helped them purchase a property in Winter Park, Florida, which is a very, very expensive place. They bought it for their daughter to live in until she graduated college and whatnot. And so they had 3 investment properties they were selling this past round, and they listed that with a local Winter Park realtor. It was a huge transaction for us. It would have been, and we got to list the other one, which was probably a fourth of the value, right, of that investment portfolio. So it would have been very easy for us to get upset because they had decided to list that one piece of property with another realtor. I don't know why. I don't know what they got. They got convinced that they had to list it with them because it was such a tight-knit community. She lived in that complex, and it was just something I would have never thought that they would have fallen for. But I didn't let it faze me. I took the listing they let me help them with, and I was gracious, and I got it sold perfectly, as always. It wasn't anything personal. Now, had I taken that personal, had I made issue of that situation, I wouldn't have been able to help them purchase the next 3 properties that they purchased. Okay? So sometimes you just have to realize that you don't have all the information and that it isn't about you. And somebody else has to list a property and sell with another realtor. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. That's chapter number 17, box of tissues. You're going to need a box of tissues if you're going to be in this business, right? That's just the reality of the situation. It'll happen once. I could sit and think about a dozen times in this business where I have just broke down and cried, but you just have to brush it off and move forward. Okay? All right, here we go. Chapter number 18, which is a much better topic. Retarget your audience. Absolutely. That's right up my alley, isn't it? I love Facebook ads. So we're going to talk about retargeting an audience on Facebook ads with Facebook ads, because if you don't have that, if you aren't savvy with retargeting on Facebook, you're probably wasting a lot of money. You're probably very discouraged with your Facebook results. You probably have, you don't understand what's happening in your ad manager account. You don't have a strategy for your marketing. And so you think the whole thing doesn't work, right? you think phooey to that. I'm just going to post on my personal newsfeed and that's going to be my social media strategy. You have to get over that, right? You need to get over any frustrations you have with Facebook marketing, because I'm going to tell you, it is the juggernaut, okay? Other platforms can come and go, and they can create large audiences like TikTok or Instagram, huge audiences. But those audiences, you have to understand, they're just, it's just raw data. It's just raw data. Unless you have the capability and understanding and savvy enough to retarget that audience, okay? You're not retargeting that audience every time you post. It just doesn't work that way, Okay. Retargeting specifically with a paid targeted ad, for example, is what follows them. It's what is subliminal. It's what keeps in front of them, right? For someone to see your ad just once or twice because create an ad and you run it and you put it out there and you don't see any results because that's it. People are seeing your ad one time and that's it. They don't see it again. Unless you retarget, they're not going to see your ad again necessarily, right? Unless a friend likes it or something like that. Retargeting puts that ad in front of them. It's what follows them all over the internet so that when they hit your website, okay, then for the next 6 months, you've got the ability to put your ad in front of them for pennies, 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 pennies. Okay. So you're really, anyone who has, not explored Facebook ads or thinks that, creating an ad through your CRM is the same thing. It's not. Okay. I posted one of Kelly's ads in the group the other day. That's a good ad. Take a look at it, right? Kelly does a flat fee brokerage business, and she has really nailed her avatar, right? She has really nailed her avatar. Her message speaks to her avatar. It isn't just a regular, a still shot that says, buy and sell with me, is it? It really speaks to her avatar. And that's the kind of advertising that you need to learn how to do on Facebook marketing because it makes all the difference in the world. Okay. There's no denying that Facebook can put your brand in front of the eyes, right? Facebook can absolutely put your brand in front of the eyes of thousands, right? But if your marketing message falls flat, or if your graphics fall flat, if they don't speak to the avatar, if they don't see themselves in your ad, and they don't have an emotional trigger when they see your ad, it's going to fall flat. Okay? You want to be able to have an emotional trigger when someone sees your ad. You want to nail a pain point for that avatar, right? So that you catch their attention and they think, okay, here's somebody that might understand my problem. Okay? So let's just talk about a few examples while we're here. I was talking with an agent yesterday, having a great conversation with another broker, and we were collaborating a little bit. And we were talking about messaging and Facebook ads. So let me give you a few examples, okay? You have to really figure out what your market provides for you. And in this market, you have to figure out who has to sell, okay? Because obviously, things are slow right now, right? Interest rates are terrible, right? The consumer can't buy. They don't have the buying power that they had 3 years ago. Okay? So they have to have more compelling reasons to sell, right? And if you want to, everybody always asks, how do I change from a buyer's agent to a listing agent? Well, that is obviously all in your marketing message. Okay. So you have to put the marketing message out to the seller and you have to speak to the seller. So you have to decide who has to sell in your market. So just for a few examples, so maybe get the ball rolling in your head of what is provided in your market. Here in Central Florida, for example, a large percentage of our population are senior citizens. Everybody retires to Florida, right? So a large population of our homeowners are senior citizens. So, for example, one of my recent ads that I created is, the graphics, the video tells the story of, an elderly couple distressed, needing to, making the decision to have to sell their home and packing up, and it fades into a packing up situation where they're packing boxes. And then it fades into them, drinking champagne on the beach. okay, happy, right? So the caption will, or the, that's the graphics, that's them, they can visualize themselves, okay? And then of course the verbiage, it starts off with, when it's time to sell your home for the last time, right? When a senior citizen is selling their home for the last time, they've got to sell because they've got to go move on to the next chapter of their life, whether it's moving in with family or in a facility, but they're selling. They have to sell. Okay. So that's the message. So when you have to sell for the last time, and then it goes on with the story and the lesson and the hook. Okay. And the call to action. But that's who I'm talking to. The video shows who I'm talking to, right? So another example I can give you is here in Central Florida, who has to sell? A lot of times after we get hit with a hurricane, and we got hit with a really bad hurricane, 2 hurricanes last fall, I can look around my town, I can see tarps on roofs still, months and months and months after a hurricane, obviously. And I am starting to see roofs being replaced. Now, of course, that's a process, and everybody gets backlogged, right? But because the insurance money has to pay out first. So I can see that a lot of insurance money is starting to pay out because roofs are starting to go on. Well, when I buy rehab properties, when I work with distressed property owners, I know for a fact that if they are defaulted on their mortgage and they've got a large insurance claim, for example, for a roof, that money goes to the mortgage company. It's held in escrow. If they're delinquent on their mortgage, they're not going to get dispersed that money, right? They won't be dispersed that rehab money. And they will sit there and just be stuck. They will be stuck, all right? So I'm speaking to them, right? When you are distressed and you've got repairs on a home as a result of the hurricane, maybe it's time to sell. So I have a message that's crafted specifically to those homeowners that have to sell because they've got major repairs that need to be done. They can't be done because they're delinquent. Okay? All right. So that's one message. You got to really dig deep and find out and decide who has to sell today in this market. Senior citizens? Is it probate? Is it move up? Now be careful of move up buyers because, you're not going to convince them to move up to live in an additional 200 square feet, right? They have to have compelling reasons today to move up because otherwise, you know what? They're going to bite the bullet and they're going to put 2 kids in one room until they can afford it a little bit better, So that might not be a more compelling reason. You got to think about who has to sell. Probate, distressed, divorce. You know what I'm saying? These are situations that require a definite sale. Okay? Those are the messages you need to focus on. Okay? Any questions? I'm telling you, retargeting, that's the secret sauce. All right? So if you aren't familiar with or you don't know how to retarget in Facebook, then that's your goal this year, is to figure that out, to learn that, to take a course, to hire a coach, to really dig down deep and figure out how to create some really great Facebook ads. Because my budget for Facebook honestly is about $350 a month, and that is my total marketing. I mean, that's it. That's all I do. I just run a consistent Facebook ad strategy. Okay. Because that's more than one. It's cold audience, warm audience. Okay. So that's all you need to do. I don't have to go knock on doors. I don't have to do flyers. I don't have to do anything else if I don't want to. okay? With retarget ads, with groups, Facebook groups, with your email list, right? And with your handwritten correspondence, you create an ecosystem for your business that is just a warm, fuzzy feeling for anyone that's in your world, right? You just love on your people and they're going to come to you when they need you, okay? And if they have to pick someone else, don't get upset. Don't get upset. Not worth it. Just keep them in your ecosystem. Keep them warm because everybody sells every 5 to 7 years on average. I've been in my house for almost 30 years though. So I'm 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 probably not the example to look at, but most people will move every 5 to 7 years. So keep them in your world, okay? All right, any questions? Anything else? Anything you want to contribute? Oh my goodness. We are getting ready to go to Universal Studios tomorrow. Both my kids and of course their spouses. So it's gonna be all 6 of us. Tommy and his wife and Cecilia and Seth, her boyfriend. So we're all gonna go to Universal Studios tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. All right. I'm gonna jump over to my business page now and do my weekly live on my business page. And that'll be that. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.